Mitchell has so eloquently read out of the Bible is that we are training the next generation, 15 to 30 years of age, how to become educated, informed, choose careers, meet with your teachers, meet with your counselors, and then we want you to move forward either in technical education or we'd like you to choose university of your choice. And let me just say that I'm a two-time Eagle, and today we're encouraging you to choose the #1 university east of the Mississippi, North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. With that being said, our next speaker is Dean Carlton Wilson, an individual who have spent numbers of years in working with our young people. Dr. Wilson.
Good morning. And thank you, Dr. Herndon, Dr. Mitchell, for your leadership with the Triangle Community Youth Leadership Institute. It is indeed a pleasure for me to have a few minutes this morning to just speak briefly about the value of our youth to pursue excellence in terms of all that they do, from education to service to preparation for leadership. Because as the theme of this institute duly notes, young men and women are our most valuable assets. They are our treasures, as Dr. Mitchell noted. They are our future leaders in our community, locally, nationally, and throughout the world. But as I know all of our youth understand, that they must be prepared for leadership. They must be prepared for service. They must be prepared for success. You must become involved at all stages of your life. Although you may be considered to be young now, believe me, time passed very quickly. So you should take advantage of all opportunities to be involved in your community wherever you may be. Education, of course, is a tremendous key to all success. High school, college, and all stops in between. Because education provides you with opportunities. And you must be prepared when those opportunities arise. You must have the skills and the experience to take advantage and be able to step forward. It's never too early to begin preparation for college. As a teacher first, administrator second for many years, clearly the most significant denominator in success of students is early preparation. From the family, kindergarten, all the way through secondary school into higher education. Family context is extremely important, but they can't do it all. Our public institutions must step up and provide what is necessary. We must work on those critical skills. Young folk today are in such a tremendous position because you have so many options. But there are common skills that are critical to all of them. When we speak to employers, when we speak to graduate and professional schools, they all say the same thing. We want students who can communicate, students who can read, students who can write, students who have analytical skills. We can teach them what we want them to do here, but we can't teach them to read, to write, to think. We want you to come to us with that. So I inform our students, as you work your way through high school and into college, in thinking about careers, be mindful of those core skills that can prepare you for success in any field. And mind, do you have lots to choose from areas in STEM and social sciences and humanities. There are all types of things. when I was coming through high school and college, which wasn't that long ago, you had the basics. You're going to be the teacher, you're going to be this and that, you're going to be the lawyer, you'll be the doctor. But there are hundreds and thousands of things that now you can do all in between. But you must have that core to build upon. And as you leave high school and consider pursuing higher education, there are many options in different types of institutions. Choose those institutions that will prepare you for a very broad path in life. Unlike many of us who are assembled here today, when we took a job, we took it for life. We stayed in that profession. Our parents told us, you better not quit. You keep going. But now you will have maybe dozens of career options. You'll have 6, 7, 8, 9 jobs before you reach the age of 40, most likely. You will squirrel around, as we know. So there are lots of things for you to do. So choose an institution that is going to prepare you for that broad path, for those various options. As Reverend Herndon noted, I too believe that North Carolina Central University is the best choice, but we know that you have others. But NCCU should be a number one because it is that type of institution, a liberal arts institution that also connects you to many other areas in business, in STEM. So I would like for you to think about those. But once you enter into your professional careers, whether you're in business, whether you're in public health, be mindful of your community. Bring those skills back into your community. Bring your professional skills into those neighborhoods to uplift those neighborhoods, to uplift them. And this is how, as a people, we will be able to move forward and confront the challenges that we have today. And finally, I will say, whatever you pursue and do it with passion. Enjoy it, all right? Do it with passion. It is a very difficult thing to get up every morning and go to work and dread it. You want to be excited about it. What am I going to do today? What's new that I'm going to bring to the table today? So choose it and pursue it with passion and enjoyment, whatever it is. Be passionate about it. Thank you so very much. And once again, I do applaud the efforts of this wonderful institute to prepare our youth for their future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. And again, as always, we have everything we need. We just have to come together to ensure that we work in partnership. We now have an opportunity to, I met this young man when he was 12 or 13 years old, and now he is a grown man. We're very proud of him. He has his own businesses. He's an entrepreneur, recording star, and an all-around individual in our community that constantly reach back and teach others. Let us call Mr. Kedron Mims.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Herndon. Thank you for inviting me to this amazing platform this morning. When I was a youngster, I used to think that I could make it in life on my own. And I would soon find out that it was incorrect. I think we all need each other, black, white, brown, green, whatever color you are, to survive. And I think that's one of the things that we have to reach back and think about, because when I was raised, we had a community. And, I could go to somebody's house and, my mother knew them and, we would play with each other or spend the night. And, things have drastically changed. But Dr. Herndon was telling me to come sing something and speak a little bit, and a song dropped in my spirit called I Need You to Survive. And I just want to sing a little bit of that today. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me. Agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is his will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need it to survive. You are important to me. I need it to survive. I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive. It is his will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. Oh, yeah. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You know, that's a very important song to me because, you know, when I was like 12 years old, you know, I went through, my mom and dad went, you know, got divorced or whatever, and I didn't never know how it would rock me. And I had so many things that happened to me in my life. And, you know, we moved from Fayetteville Road community. I was raised on Massey Chapel Road even before 40 got here, and over there by South Point Mall, and we moved to Wellham Village, and it was a culture shock for me, you know, because I went to county school and to city school, and it was totally different. And so by the time I was 10, 12, Larry Haster was my uncle, and he was an instrument in my life, and, you know, he kind of kept things together for us and, you know, would push us. And you know, and I met Dr. Herndon through the Rites of Passage program. And so when I was 12 years old, I was getting ready to graduate from the Rites of Passage program, and I had got in trouble. I stole something from Rose's, and the police brought me home, 3 cop cars, and, you know, it really tore my mom apart. And so that moment shifted my whole life. I didn't know that I was in a community, a drug-infested community, a community where I would hear gunshots, and my peers, my friends. This is why it's so important for young people to choose the right friends and make quick decisions in life. So I had so many of my friends get murdered. So my high school friend, the year I stopped hanging with him, caught 122 years in prison. So I just say this to say, and I'm not going to be long, but if it had not been for mentoring programs and people mentoring and people pushing me and people helping me, I would never be where I'm at today. And that's what helped me, is the community. So I encourage each and every person, you know, talk to young people. Tell them the truth. We've become silenced. You know, if I have my big house, if I got my money, if I, you know, have my business, or if I got my education. But what about these kids that were like me when I grew up? You know, troubled. I was a troubled youth in Durham. I had no direction. And then I met the Rites of Passage program and other programs, and it helped me change my life. So, Dr. Herndon, I'm not going to do any more. I thank you so much, and I thank for platforms like this, and appreciate y'all guys for having me.
Thank you much, Brother Kedron, and much success. Next we have coming up, and let me just stop here and take a break and share with you that we are live streaming, and there's a little bit different in live streaming than recording studios. You can stop cameras. But today we cannot stop cameras. And let me just also share with you that we appreciate every minute that you spend with us. And we're going to move this program as fast as possible. I want to get you out of here. My goal is to get any speaker to come here to get you out in 25, 30 minutes or less. So bear with us, and I'm going to be brief, and I want everybody to be brief. Let me bring up next Reverend Adrian Bullock. This is another young man who is doing some great work. And again, for our listening audience, we are pouring into, we are mentoring, we're passing a baton to young people. This is what our Triangle Youth Institute is about. Reverend Bullock. 5 minutes.
All right, I'm going to give you less than that.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I hope and pray that you're doing well. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Reverend, thank you so much for the opportunity to share in this program. We've heard already the importance of going to school, going to college, furthering your education. The only way that I could really share the importance of going to school is using my own experience as a child. I didn't have the privilege of growing up in Durham, but I grew up in a city far away from here known as Raleigh. And there in Raleigh, I had the opportunity to learn and to listen to one of the greatest people in the world, my grandmother. And I had the opportunity to listen to her and to hear her experiences as someone that grew up in the country and how she worked her way up to go to Shaw University. And watching her as she and her friends were invested in their college, seeing how they devoted themselves to the work in the community, wanting to make sure that not only themselves but their grandchildren did well in life, made me also want to go to school. And to this day, I live by a motto of what my grandmother shared with me when I was roughly 5 or 6 years old, that you can do and be whatever you want to be if you're willing to work hard for it. And I really didn't recognize the fullness of what I had until I went into my psychology course, I want to say my second year at one of the greatest schools this side of heaven, which we've already shared, as North Carolina Central University.
Eagle pride.
And in my second year, my second year in that class, had the opportunity to introduce myself the first week of courses and let my professor know exactly who I was. And she asked a question that I still remember. She asked, are you a first generation or a second generation college student? And she was surprised when I let her know that I'm a third generation. Not understanding, I didn't realize that was not the normal thing. But I would say from that young age, I wanted to go, 5 or 6 years old, I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to further myself. And the two main reasons that made me want to go to college was, first of all, seeing my grandmother and those that were invested in college, but then also having a love for history. Seeing how many African Americans worked and they tried their best to even get the sort of education that we get day by day, and seeing how they were invested in building these great schools that we have. And so I would just say, even though North Carolina Central University is one of the greatest schools this side of heaven, I would say at your young age, look at what you want to do in life. What do you want to be in life? What are your dreams and goals in life? And from there, begin to plan and prepare where do you see yourself in the future. And that's why I say at this young age, advisors, teachers, counselors, church members, family members, all of those people ought to be your best friends at this age as you grow and prepare to get to the place where God wants you to be. And I'll let you know that education will offer you the tools for you to go higher, go deeper, and to get to the place where you can fulfill your dreams and goals in life. Reverend.
Thank you, and let's give him some hand praise. This young lady, Miss Deborah Williams, is a very powerful individual who is very artistic and has a lot of work in the community. Our next speaker, after Ms. Williams, and I'm trying to move forward to make sure we value time, we'll have Dr. Wilson, and each participant will introduce yourselves, and then Dr. Robertson, in that order. 30-second introduction, and then move forward with your speech.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you to the Institute and Dr. Herndon for inviting me. I am Deborah Williams. In a moment, you're going to meet Queen Prophet Sage, the poet. But it is an honor to be here. And to all the young people listening, I want to encourage you that you have one job right now, and that is to concentrate and to be very intentional in your learning. And to all the adults that are around, we have one job, and that is to create safe spaces for our young people to succeed. And so while we're instilling in all of them to do their very best each and every day, we have a responsibility to make sure that we are addressing the social determinants that keep them and prevent them from being their best selves each and every day. So I encourage you to get involved in your community. Make sure that we're not just addressing the charitable pieces like health and food insecurities by having our food pantries and making sure that we feed the unsheltered and going and giving blankets, but let's make sure that we're creating spaces and being in the face of the power that causes them to be hungry, to be unsheltered, to have a miseducation. Make sure that we do our one job, and that is to make sure that we remove the social determinants that keep our young people from being their best selves each and every day. Amen. Now, moving on. So I'm coming to you as Queen Prophet Sage today, and I want to inspire our young people and our grown folks, right? And I have a word for you. The sage is here. I spoke to my children today, the ones on a lead cross, diasporic nomads wanting to live in countries that will deny their humanity. I spoke to my children today, the ones on a red cross, bullet holes fill the flag draped justification that would criminalize them. I spoke to my children today, the ones on a breathless cross. Blue lights are the sites of brutality that would murder my sons and my daughters. But I spoke to my children today, the ones on a cross for toying around, parked in play. Black adolescence is the prey. I spoke to my children today, the ones on a surrendered cross where doing what's right did nothing to protect them. But I spoke to my children today, the ones caught in a crossfire of evil, cloaked as democracy, law and order, and their justice at the expense of my freedom. But I spoke to my children today, and they spoke back from that cross the words that I will never forget. They reminded me that they rose in resistance to death. They rose in protest of the 1% of wealth. They rose to fight the adversities of evil. My children rose. They rose. They rose. I spoke to my children today. If the walls of my womb could speak, you would hear the loud whispers of creation, convincing the egg and sperm to unite, forming a universe called Africa. If the walls of my womb could speak, it would loudly bellow out the mating sounds of past hopes and future aspirations of royalty and kingdoms full of joy and celebration. If the walls of my womb could speak, you would hear the resounding yes to the universe, answering the call of rulers of this earth in sync with nature, harmonizing with the embryos of time, offering the melodious sounds of growth in each trimester with incubations of masterfully connected hearts and souls. If the walls of my womb could speak, you would hear the genius compositions rhythmically arranging brilliant and powerful minds creating our young people at Hillside and Southern and Riverside and Northern and DSA, Marine Joy. You would hear the scientists, the astrologers, the mathematicians, the teachers, the preachers, the lawyers, the queens and kings, the warriors. If the walls of my womb could speak. And as our young people grow, there's this thing that enters into our life that kind of puts us in a place of stagnation, a place that can kind of sometimes keep us and hold us back, and it's called fear. Enter fear. That place that you enter to manipulate outcomes, usurping your will over the Most High. Free will was granted, but you are afraid of the unknown. So rather than entering your fears, trusting that the Creator ordained your every footstep so that each home you enter, there is peace. You fail to ring the doorbell. Entering your fears. Entering your fears, confronting the unknown that paralyzed that somersault you should have taken into your destiny. Entering your fears, that leap of faith that produces outcomes, because hesitation shouldn't be a deal breaker, but a partnership maker for your success. Entering your fears, that disruptive action you now take each time you put one foot in front of the other foot and begin to walk in unknown territories. You interfere with plans of disruption and stagnation when entering your fears as scared as you want to be. But letting them see you sweat, young people, that should be the momentum needed to accomplish what naysayers predicted would annihilate you. So enter fear, because there's nothing to fear but fear, the very one that didn't have the courage to get out of their own misery, who now wait eagerly to interfere with your success. So enter fear. Walk through that door, ring that doorbell, and discover that fear ain't even home. Amen. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Herndon, and to our host, Dr. Mitchell, to all of the panelists who are here, and to you who are gathered both virtually as well as in the sanctuary. I count it a blessing and a privilege to be with you this morning to talk for a few minutes about my experiences regarding higher education. Really grateful for all of the panelists who've gone before me, and they've shared with you the importance of getting an education, the importance of preparation, and especially to Dr. Wilson, to Dr. Herndon, and I believe it was Reverend Fuller who preceded me just a minute ago. They are right about everything they said, except the part about North Carolina Central being the greatest school in North Carolina, or this side of heaven, I think it was a phrase. I'm a proud graduate of the Winston-Salem State University, which is the predominant university of North Carolina. And one thing I'll say to you, Eagles, at least not an Aggie, so I'll give you props for that. But again, I proudly represent Winston-Salem State University. I also hold a master's degree from Shaw Divinity School, so I'm a product of two HBCUs and state of North Carolina. There are primarily three groups of young people as you approach graduation and as approach the latter years of your high school experiences. There are those who know exactly what you want to do for your life's work. You know for certain that you want to go to college and you have the career path. You have some ideas as to how to plot out that career path. There are those who are uncertain about whether to attend college or exactly what you're going to do. You're still in a place of self-discovery and trying to explore options. And then there are those who have decided that college definitely is not for you. I primarily want to address those latter two groups, those who are uncertain and those who have said definitely not. My advice to you, go to college. Get some additional education and training and preparation. And maybe we perhaps have promoted the idea of college is necessary to get a good job. I want to approach it from the standpoint of you go to college to become educated. You go to college to get exposure to different worldviews, different thoughts, different ideas, to explore your mind, to find out who you really are. And you go to college to grow up. And so if for no other reasons, just consider those options or that aspect of getting a higher education. College is also fun. And so don't forget about this social aspect of college. You meet some lifelong friends there. You develop lifelong relationships there. You might even find a spouse there. I know I did. And so consider the social aspects, the opportunity to grow and to develop, to discover who you are, to learn more about yourself, and to perhaps to even develop those lifelong relationships are all very fine reasons for attending a college or institution of higher learning. There is nothing more fun as you're going through college to experiencing the conquering of your rival, your hated rival, whether it be A&T or whether it be Central or whether it be Fifth or some other school. There's nothing like just whipping them on the competitive playing field and then enjoying that and the opportunity to talk to or to trash talk to some of your friends or even as you meet people later in life who have attended those institutions. It's a great experience, and I highly recommend it. But primarily, I would say to you, it's about self-discovery. It's about learning who you are. It's about learning more about the world. It's about expanding your mind. And again, just figuring out who you are in this world and what you would have your life's work to be. And so if there are those who are perhaps on the fence or uncertain about obtaining a higher education, then I highly recommend it. And I wish you the best in your discovery, your thought process, and your preparation for what you'll do post-high school.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Saranda Robinson. I'm a professor and epidemiologist in North Carolina Central University's Department of Public Health Education, one of NCCU's best kept secrets. Many of you may not have been familiar with public health or public health education prior to this pandemic, but I think we're all quite familiar with public health at this time. Because as you know, public health is everywhere, every day. In public health, we work to prevent the diseases and adverse health outcomes that doctors and nurses treat. We work in various places such as schools, hospitals, nonprofit organizations, clinics, government agencies such as the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the National Institutes of Health, which I'm sure you're hearing quite a bit about at this time. We can impact various populations, whether it's babies, children, the elderly, men, women, the incarcerated, the homeless. And we address a wide variety of topics such as nutrition, physical activity, STDs, reproductive health, injury, violence, and yes, even COVID-19. In public health education, we assess the needs of the communities to find out what the issues are And then we develop programs and policies to address those concerns. For example, we come up with policies such as the importance of getting vaccinated and the 3 W's, because we all want to make sure that we're wearing our masks properly, that we're washing our hands regularly, and that we're waiting 6 feet. We also develop policies such as no smoking in public places, wearing your seat belts, wearing your helmets. That's all public health. In public health, you can have a variety of jobs. Public health educators, they make sure they communicate ways to promote health and to stay healthy. We might communicate via social media or TV, radio, bulletin boards. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm an epidemiologist, and epidemiologists are considered disease detectives because we investigate the patterns of disease. We find out which people are impacted and why, and then we work to control those diseases. In health education, we also work with mental health. So I encourage you all to take care of your health and the health of your community. So get proper sleep, avoid alcohol and drugs, get proper exercise, drink water, and take care of your mental health. And if you're interested in public health education and learning more about what you can do to impact society, come and see us in the Department of Public Health Education at North Carolina Central University. I wish you much success.
Next we have Mr. Macarthur, followed by Reverend Williams.
Thank you. To Dr. Mitchell, to Dr. Herndon, and to all who made this day possible, I thank you for this opportunity to come to and speak to you today. Again, I'm Dennis McCaskill. I work with Exponence, Vice President, Marketing and Client Service for the Institutional Investment Advisory firm. I was asked today to speak briefly on attributes that have made me successful. And before I go to that, I want to thank a couple of folk that have really been successful in my life. First started with my father, the late Dennis McCaskill Sr., Dr. Thomas Bass Sr. I also want to recognize also some folk that helped me get into the industry. Maceo K. Sloan, Randall Ailey with the Edgar Lomax Company, and my current founder and president and CEO, Tina Biles Williams with Exponence. When I think about some of the attributes that have made me successful in what I do, and it did not come easy, I always go back to 3 principles that are the first, are sort of the core. And the first is to do right and not be confused with respect to doing right. The second is do your best. If you do your best and you're not successful, at least you've done your best with respect to doing that. And third is treating others as you would like to be treated, which I think is very important as we do, not only in business, but in life also. I'd like to also go on, take it a little bit further. Anything in life that we're doing takes time. There are going to be good times, bad times, sort of as the market goes up and down with volatility. And so it deals with resilience. And so one has to be resilient with respect to what you're doing in life as well as in your profession. Second is time management. As we know, you cannot turn back the hands of time. We're here on this earth for a limited time. In a 24-hour day, it has been said that we sleep 8 hours, we work 8 hours, and we spend time with our family for another 8 hours. Patience. Patience is learning, taking the opportunity not only to fail, but to also pick yourself up. I listen to a gospel singer says, we fall down, but we get up. And so in business, it is important also that we do these things of having patience with what we do, who we work with. Networking. I take and look at networking as a tree and look at as branches on there. And if we take the opportunity to network with respect to helping others, assisting others, it's not about always being able to receive something out there, but it's also giving. And if we work at networking and assisting others, it's amazing how that has the opportunity to come back to you. Passion. Passion is doing what you love. It's not about the economics of it. You can do it because you care. You have the drive to get up each day, whether it's a cloudy day, whether it's a sunny day, and it's about helping others. But it's about doing the things that you love. And someone once told me, if you do the things that you love and you care about, you'll be successful with respect to it because you'll persevere and you'll do that and you'll enjoy doing it. And so it's not a problem with respect to doing it as a job. You're doing it because it's a gift. And there are two things that I really hope that you'll take from that we get jobs and we have gifts that God gives us. And we should take advantage with respect to that. And the other is creating values for others. That is probably the most important thing that I really want to, because I think that really attributes a lot, is creating value for others. The world is bigger than just ourselves, and there's no I in team, as we've heard that from a number of folk. But if we can assist others, as the old saying goes, what goes around comes around, and it will help you. Others will help you also. And in this life, you will know that you're not here by yourself, that it takes a team. And if you can help others, others will reciprocate that kindness. And as I look back over the years that I've been in business at the reciprocation of kindness, because I think that is the key with respect to that and your passion, that I think no matter how difficult things are with respect to it, and that you're patient, that these things are things that you can achieve in life and in business and grow your business also. And I think these are some of the attributes that have made me successful, and I deeply appreciate this opportunity to share them with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Pastor Sylvester Williams. I'd like to first of all say that I love the Lord Jesus. Thank God for all his grace, his love, and mercy. Thank you in my life, for without him, I know that I would not be anything that I am now. I thank God for my education at Durham Tech Community College, North Carolina Central University, and also DeVry Institute of Technology. I thank God for all those things because I can remember when I was in high school, and my guidance counselor was saying, Sylvester, what do you want to be? Because I used to work after school to make a little bit of money. So would you be a professional janitor? She didn't see in me what God saw in me. And I thank God for that because right now I retire as a financial analyst for one of the largest banks in this country, managing billions of dollars, and that's what I do as a financial analyst. And one of the things I realized as a financial analyst is that we're not taking advantage of things that are before us. I went to middle school here in Durham, and I was there teaching the young people about, well, I said, how many of you here want to be millionaires? And all of them want to be millionaires. So how much money do you have to just throw away, use loosely, do anything with? And today it's different from when I was coming up as a child. When I was coming up, we didn't have $50, $200, $100 to do nothing about popcorn or whatever. And they said they had that kind of money to throw away. I said, well, if you simply took $50 a month, put it in the S&P 500 ETF, didn't touch it at your age, just $50 a month, monthly. And if the market does going forward the way it's done in the past, by the time you reach the age of 65, you have over $1 million waiting on you. We don't understand the value and the wealth of money, and money working for us instead of us working for money. The poverty rate in the city of Durham is like 14% overall, but for the Black African-American community, it's like 21%. There is no reason for those things to be happening. when we have wealth at our hands, we simply learn to invest that kind of wealth and do the things. I was brought up in Durham, North Carolina, raised in Durham, North Carolina, in East Durham, and in East Durham, where I live, my mom and my dad, there were 12 of us, 12 children. And we came up, went to school, and they said, oh, you're in poverty. I didn't know what poverty was, because my mom and dad, they took care of us. I didn't know what it was. They said, you're in poverty, you can get reduced lunch and things like that. And then sometimes we'll allow what people say about us to dictate what our future is going to be. That should never be a dictator or what makes your life what it is or isn't. But it should be about your press and your persevering what you want to be and do. I've run for mayor in the city of Durham, running for city council now, and doing all those things I realize because there are no limits as to what you can do when you trust the Lord Jesus. And that's why I place my trust, my faith in him. And I've traveled around the world, India, Africa, the Philippines, doing great things for the Lord. And the reason why is because I did not allow the limitations of man to set my limits. But I realized that I could do great things through Christ. And that's the thing that I do. And so the thing that I'm saying is that when help people understand finance, help people understand how to invest their money. I know plenty of people, as I said, as a financial analyst, who made big money, but when they retired broke. And what I'm trying to tell you is this right here, that if you simply took just that little bit amount of money, if you invested it in ETF, stock fund, and the reason I say stocks is because, you know, you look out in the country and they give you this, don't listen to the media. Can I say that again? Don't listen to the media. They have their agenda. Do your own homework. When you look, you see these things, they're talking about the economy is doing so poorly and so badly. You know, they tell you in investments, that's the best time to buy. That's the best time to invest. When things are going down, and I'm talking, oh, the market's crashed, I'm getting out. Yeah. In 2007, the market crashed, is what they said. And from 2007 to now, the market has quadrupled from where it was then. So if you had 1,000, then you had 4,000. If you had 10,000, you had 40,000. Had 100,000, you had 400,000. That's what it did in that period of time. But if you don't understand the finances, if you don't understand how the market works, if you don't understand how money works, then what you're doing, you're shorting yourself. You're not taking advantage of the opportunities that's out there for you. And you can do those things. And what I would tell you, know, with your retirement plans, I mean, don't go into these retirement plans that have these fixed income markets. Looking at, there was one example that I have here, is that whereby if you put money into something like T-bills or whatever else, in 30 years, you come out like maybe $37,000. But in the same 30 years, if you had put that money into large cap stocks, you have like $186,000. Big difference. What I'm saying to learn how to properly invest your money. Let your money work for you instead of you working for your money. And I don't care how you think, well, I don't make a lot of money. If you make $50, I know you got $50 a month that you can put aside. And the thing that I say to you, the longer you wait to start your investment, the more difficult it's going to be for you to have that accumulation. So to the young people that are listening, you 12, 13, 14 years old, 15 years old, just like I told those middle school students, start putting aside $50 a month in an ETF and watch what's going to be waiting for you when you get about 65 years old. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for what you're doing for the community. Thank you for all those things that are truly beautiful, and I truly thank you, Dr. Herndon, for the invitation.
Thank you also, gentlemen. Let's give them some hand praise. We know that each one of the young persons that are watching and viewing this recording, and again, the reason that we're here is that we want to give our young people, 15 to 30 years old, an opportunity to understand all of the array of activities and the resources that we have here in our community. So thank you. Our next group will be Dr. Laverne Perry and Chip Strutter from Durham Public Schools. Let's give a round of applause.
Thank you very much. I'm Chip Sutter, and I'm the Chief Communications Officer for Durham Public Schools. Dr. Maddox Perry is the Senior Executive Director for Student Support Services in Durham Public Schools, so she is by far the more important person at this table. I'm going to speak very briefly, though, about Durham Public Schools and about the act of faith that this convening represents. Our students, our teachers and staff, our entire community have suffered in the last 18 months. And we are looking, in this group, we are looking forward to the future. We are asking our families and our 15 to 30-year-olds to think of a time when they will be able to do this, show their faces in the classroom, and say with their entire being to their teachers, to their peers, I matter, I am going to make something of myself, and you are not going to stop me. We are at a time when institutions in our community are looked at with distrust, and those institutions range from public education to the faith community to law enforcement. This is an act of faith that we can come together. We can affect change. We can affect reform. We can renew our community, and we can renew our students and our families and our neighborhoods. Public education is the great equalizer. Every child in Durham County, from Bahama to McDougald Terrace to South Durham, has an equal right to a fantastic education that ignites their limitless potential. And we have a collective responsibility to provide that for them. One of the things that I'm most impressed by in Durham Public Schools is the leadership of the students themselves, who are advocates for social justice, who mentor each other. So to the 15 to 18-year-olds watching today, I encourage them to keep it up. To the 19 to 30-year-olds watching today, and to all of us who represent institutions who can support them, it's time for us to work together and to heal the damage that has been done in the last 18 months. There's a bright future ahead, and every child in Durham has an equal has an equal opportunity and deserves the equal and equitable opportunity to claim that bright future for themselves. And I turned it over to Dr. Maddox Perry, who could speak to what our students need, the options that students have for them, and how our community can help them.
Thank you. Mr. Sutter. Thank you, Dr. Herndon, for the invitation. On behalf of Durham Public Schools and the Student Support Services Department, it is indeed a pleasure to be here and offer some words of additional support. Supporting young people is foremost the most important thing that I've attempted to do in my life, and being able to share that as a part of a team that does that is what I wanted to bring to this group. I wanted to speak a little bit to students and just say, in Durham Public Schools, we have invested heavily in providing support for you. As I think Dr. Wilson said earlier, if we didn't know about public health after this pandemic, we know now. Well, if we did not know about student support, we do know now, because our young people have a need for additional support, and in Durham Public Schools, we try to provide that. So I wanted to extend an invitation to the young people who attend Durham Public Schools to really reach out to the adults in your building. We have supports for you if you're having difficult times. We understand what it means to adjust your entire life around a global pandemic and other social issues that have somewhat turn your world upside down for some students. And yet and still, we're finding that many of our students are being very successful with our return to in-school learning, in-person learning. So reach out to your school counselors, your school social workers, your school administrators, your teachers. All of those staff have information about the supports that are available to you, and all these things can be obtained in confidence, and we will support you through what you're going through. To the parents, I want to say, if your young people are having difficulties or just need advice or are looking for post-secondary opportunities, once again, reach out to the student support services staff in the schools, because they have options available. They have resources that can help every parent and every student be able to achieve whatever their goals are. And if you don't quite know, we have ways to help you figure that out too. And I'll say to the broader community, I want to thank everyone who has been participating in this, because we often feel like many of the issues that our young people are dealing with, sometimes we're not quite sure how broadly the community hears that or feels that or supports schools and other institutions in trying to do our piece of the puzzle. So I just want to thank the people who are participating today and extend an outreach to members of the community and organizations that we would love to partner with you. We have many partnerships within the Durham community. We're open to partnering. If you have a service or a resource, or you provide mentor, anything that you do to support young people in Durham, we are interested in finding out how there is a possibility for us to partner or just to support what you do as you support our young people. So thank you very much for the opportunity. If you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to Durham Public Schools Student Support Services about how we take care of young people there. Thank you.
Let's give our administrators from Durham Public Schools another round of applause. I graduated from Durham Public Schools about 100 years ago. That lets you know how old I am. But seriously, we have 32,500 plus beautiful, bright minds in our community, and we need to wrap our arms around every student to make sure that he or she can grow into a contributing citizen. So for those who are watching our broadcast here, parents, administrators, business owners, let's get behind our students so when they arrive at Durham Public Schools, they're ready to be taught. Thank you for your leadership. Moving on, next we have Pastor Evans Mabry. We know that choosing a faith is very important. We also know and understand the importance of young people teaching young people. Well, Pastor Mabry don't have a receding hairline like mine, nor is his beard gray. He has an exciting ministry where he's working with young people. So he will share, followed by A.J. Williams, candidate for City Council.
Well, good morning, I guess good afternoon now. As Dr. Herndon said, thank you for the invitation, the opportunity for this opportunity to be before you today. When Dr. Herndon reached out to me, I was eager to respond and be together and share in this really important and critical topic of connecting our young people to opportunities for thriving and flourishing. And one of the reasons I was so excited and honored is because I am a recipient of work that people like you have done over the years. I'm not a Durhamite. I'm originally from Missouri. I've been here for several years, but the need for mentorship and support and guidance, that is a universal truth for young people. And I'm so thankful for men and women that invested in me. And I'll just share very briefly. So I'm a pastor at Christ Central Church. We partner with the Durham Nativity School, which is a private school for at-risk black and brown boys in middle school, just a few blocks away. And so grateful for that opportunity to be a blessing to our community in that way and in several other ways. There's three things that have been instilled in me as the result of people like you and opportunities like this. One, in a setting like this, I was given the African proverb that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And I was told that as a young man in the teenage years and in my 20s, because we live in a culture that wants us to go fast, really fast. Get what you need to get immediately, don't need to wait. And we can be a rising star, but that only goes so far. If we really want to go far, I've never met an actual self-made person. Every person I've ever encountered, at least up close, when they talk about their story, they can always look at someone that's gone before them, someone that's helped them, even if it was grandma praying for them. There was always something that they could connect with. And just want to encourage youth, as I've been encouraged, that don't do this alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Secondly, it was instilled in me that if you see it, it's more likely that you can be it. And I feel like that's what we're hearing by several folks this morning, that I was placed before lawyers and judges. I was put before teachers and entrepreneurs. I was introduced to city council members. I was able to shake their hands and hear their story. And when I saw it, I felt like maybe that could be me also. I ended up being a pastor, so I didn't take all the options, but I was so grateful for the privilege of being able to see beyond what's going on in front of me. That all this social media and immediacy of TV and all these things, there's so much there. And I think what was most helpful for me and most enriching for me is to see someone walking it out. Not just these pithy posts, but someone walking it out. Because when I could see it, it was more likely that I could be it. And lastly, with that in mind, again, I think several folks have said something to this effect, that if you want to see a good indication of what you will become, look at what you are becoming. If you want to know what you will become, look at what you are becoming. Nothing in our story determines where we're headed, but there's always a trajectory, and I'm thankful. I thank God that He interrupted my trajectory. I thank God that in moments where I was headed to some foolishness, that He intervened and moved me in different directions. But if He had not intervened, I would have been headed to some disastrous things. And I wish, when I look back, I wish I would have taken more seriously what I was becoming and invested in my future in a more productive way. If you want to be a rapper, you can't spend hours playing Fortnite. If you want to go to school, you can't spend hours just talking to friends. You have to invest into what you are want to become. So look at what you are becoming. That's what was given to me, and that's what I want to give to others. Because a lesson learned should be a lesson taught. That what has been put into me, it would be selfish of me to not give it to others around me and to the next generation. And so I'm so grateful to Dr. Herndon for this invitation, so grateful to be able to sit at the table with other men and women that have the same heartbeat to invest in the next generation and in this generation. The now generation is the next generation, so I'm grateful. And so looking forward to continuing to build and to grow and to see this community blessed and the young people be blessed likewise. Thank you again for allowing me to be here.
Guess that's me. Thank you, Pastor Evans. And thank you for Dr. Herndon for this invitation. It's good to see y'all's faces this morning or this afternoon. My name is Adrian Williams, and I am running for Durham City Council for the Ward 3 seat. And today, I really want to talk about kind of how I got here. I'm 34 years old. I am a Durhamite, fourth generation, and my experience being in Durham and deciding to enter local politics was really shaped by kind of my positionality and disillusionment with the political process and feeling like I wasn't able to enter into the political realm, right? And what I mean is, I didn't feel like it was accessible, whether it was the local, state, or even federal level, for somebody like me, a black person from Durham, from a poor and working class background, to do something like what I'm doing right now. And what I want to say is, I'm here as a kind of living testimony of what's possible, right? And I want to say too that, you know, for young people who are saying, "Oh, that's not for me," or "But you're a leader, and you had some extra privilege in order to get where you're at," I want to just stand back and say that that's actually not true. I'm just like any other young person. I just found something that I cared about a whole lot, and that's what I want to challenge every young person who's watching. I don't know if this is streaming anywhere, but figure out what you really care about and figure out how you can do something for others. Because the seat that I'm running for is a seat of service, right? Our city council people are supposed to be public servants, which means that you have to have a posture of listening to the people and the needs of the people. And so I really take that seriously. And my kind of disillusionment with the political process has really shaped the way that I'm able to decide the way that I want to be accessible to people, right? I'm gonna leave a bunch of my business cards and a bunch of these because I want to make sure that I can connect with anybody who wants to connect and tell me about the way that they're experiencing our city. Particularly for our young folks, and me included, we're growing up in a generation where everything is on social media, and we're consuming the ways that these power structures are coming up against us, right? We see killings of black folks on our social media feeds every day, and that really impacts the psyches and you know, the socio-emotional development of young folks. And so what I want to say is, for anybody who's saying, "Oh, my vote doesn't matter," it actually does, and there are institutions and systems that are banking on you not caring, right? And not showing up to vote so that the perpetuation of those systems can continue. And so I really want to encourage anybody who's watching, particularly if this is something you're considering entering the realm of politics, because I by no means consider myself a politician. I'm just a regular person. But I am somebody who cares about our city. I care about people, and I care about seeing solutions to things like the gun violence that's ravishing our city, things like Durhamites who've been here for decades, for generations, being pushed out by gentrification. Those are the things that I care about. And I am accessible. Like I said, I'll leave my information, but I really appreciate being here with you all this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have is Mr. Leonardo Williams. He is a business owner. He's a community advocate. And this young man we met a number of years ago. I am very impressed, and I encourage all you young people and parents and administrators, watch this young man here, because he's bringing a lot of energy and creativity in our community. And after he will speak, next we'll have Dr. Harvey Mcmurray. He has been working for the last 15, 20, or 30 years with me through a program called the Rites of Passage. He's a dean of the Criminal Justice, chair of the Criminal Justice Department, and has done a lot of work with youth advocacy.
Thank you so much. How's everybody doing? That's for everybody in here and online. How are you doing?
Yes, sir.
Good. We have work to do, so we got to have a little energy. All right. Now, I too am. Let me just get this out of the way, because I don't want to talk about me running for office, but I'm also running for Ward 3, City Council, and the young man I just love, and this young man right here, we talk about once or twice a week, just so we can make sure that we are running our race. We're on the same team. One of us will serve. So I just want to get that out of the way. I am a candidate for City Council. But let me tell you why I'm engaged in this community, why I'm engaged in saving the lives of our youth. it's personal. Now, when I came to Durham in '99, I came to NC Central, NCCU. I was head drum major for the marching band. I was stepmaster for the Alphas, stepmaster for KK Psi, and I spent way too long in college because I had never seen so many girls. And I was one of those boys who was just getting in trouble until my mama found out when I changed my address and they sent the academic probation letter to my mom's address at home, and my life changed. We're country. And when she came to Durham with that switch, that sort of changed things for me, and I had no choice but to grow up. But I say I spent way too long in college because I left there with 2 degrees in undergrad because I spent so much time there. But I had a really good time. I graduated NC Central, and I went to, I ended up starting to teach music at Shepherd Middle School and became Teacher of the Year in my 2nd year. I knew I had grabbed something that I was good at. I was assistant band director at Hillside High School before going to Southern and being the head band director there. And I think I'm probably the only person alive that has been at both of those schools in that capacity. Now, I'm a 2-time Teacher of the Year. I'm a small business owner. I started the nation's first Zimbabwean restaurant with my wife, Zweli. I own Zweli's Kitchen restaurant, best oxtails you ever have in your life. And and I think what I want to talk about today is how we opened that restaurant, because it's the story of resilience and it's the story of perseverance. And I can't just sit back and accept this opportunity and this access to success, because it wasn't easy. I can't just sit back and accept it without making a way for our young folk, for y'all that are listening online. You see, we were denied 7 times trying to open this restaurant. We wanted to open a business, and let me take my hat off here. We wanted to open a business. Now, when I left the classroom, I became a principal, and after that, I was an associate superintendent before getting recruited to be an education consultant for Governor Cooper, and also ran the state's largest foundation for public schools, the North Carolina Foundation for Public School Children. And so my career, I was good. I was having a great time until my wife started catering some of her food. So I had to resign from the governor's office and become my wife's delivery boy. Now, outside looking in, that may seem a little weird. I'm in suit and tie every day, and then I go to shorts and T-shirts and sneakers, driving all over the state delivering caterings. The thing is, when I retired from that suit and tie, I retired from that career. And that's the end. That's not the end of the story, but that's where we are now. My point is, there's so many folks that do not believe that it's possible because we are, I think someone said it earlier, our future is determined by so many other people. We all have a narrative. We all have a narrative. And some of our narratives have been kidnapped. Now, I'm a teacher and always will be a teacher, so that means I need it quiet in the classroom. I want you to hear me. You can't let your narrative be kidnapped. You can't let your narrative be hijacked. And that's happened so much. I was told that we cannot open a restaurant. Even my wife said, oh, that's going to be too much. But we had to dream. And we had to have a vision. And after being denied 7 times, I took every ounce that we had in retirement, savings, credit cards, all of that. And after all the no's, I mean, we could have built an entire house with the amount of no's that we received. That is when we said yes. And the power and the impact of that yes, that 3-letter word, was like a juggernaut. We became unstoppable. Now, not only did we open the first Zimbabwean restaurant in the nation, we now have 3. Why am I talking about this? Because if you're listening to me right now, someone is telling you that you can't do something because. They're telling you you can't do something, and then when they tell you the because, it's their because, not yours. That's their narrative, not yours. So when I look into this community, when I look and see the neighbors across Durham, I know that we're powerful because we all have our own narrative. We all have our own story. It's up to us to live it. Now, personally, too many of those stories are being taken away. Too many. And what I mean by that is what you see on the news every morning. You see someone that look like me, but a lot younger. So I'm going to end with this, because I don't just talk to people. I don't just speak. When I speak, I ask you to get involved. I ask you to get engaged. So politically, whether you're voting for me or voting for someone, I need you to vote. And if you're not old enough to vote, I need you to learn the process and learn the system. So when you do turn 18, you can vote, because that is your engagement in your community. The average age of someone that's getting killed right now or killing is between the age of 15 and 17 years old. They should be in school. We have too much access to poverty in this neighborhood, in this community. We have too much access to crime. We have too much access to not enough access. And we're going to change that. And the only way we can do it is waking up and getting involved. Last Friday, I called on 1,000 black men to join me in owning this issue. Because right now, the system is getting rich. It costs $30,000 to incarcerate someone in this state, but it costs less than $2,000 a year to go to Durham Tech, get a certificate, and make a six-figure salary in trade. What are we doing, folks? If you're not feeling that, if you're not in the game, what are you doing? That's why I'm involved in this community, and that's why I'm running. But what's more important to me is saving the lives of these young black men, the ones who are killing and the ones who are getting killed. So I called on 1,000 black men to step up and step in. Let's own it. If you're a black man in this room, if you're a black person on that camera, identify a friend or identify a mentee, spend at least an hour with them every single week. Get to know their family. My personal goal is to make sure that young black men in this city and boys of color can graduate high school with access to a suit, a tie, a job, and or higher learning, and a mentor. That's how we solve the crime issue. The government is going to do its part, but a major part of it is reactionary. It's time for us to step up and step in. So, I'm Leonardo Williams. Follow me, leofordurham.com. Commemorate Restaurant, talk to me. I'm accessible. But you got to get involved. Got to get involved. I love you all, and I'm going to go talk to some more folks. I'm going to run out of here, but thank you.
So, good afternoon. I am Harvey Mcmurray. I'm wearing two hats here. One, I'm the department chair in the Department of Criminal Justice at North Carolina Central University. And Dean Wilson was here earlier, and I was going to say he is the best dean at NCCU because he's my boss. So he did not have the benefit of hearing me say that. I want to acknowledge Dr. Warren Herndon. I've known him for 34 years, and he has been consistent with his support and leadership in the Rites of Passage program. So I want to thank you for that, Warren, and I must acknowledge a dear, dear friend, Judge O'Neill. She has been, I won't talk a lot about it, but I will say she has been a source of guidance and encouragement and support, and I want to thank you for all that you've done. So folks, I'm going to be brief because I know we're at the end and we actually passed the end. But but I wanted to take a slightly different approach. I want to talk about the crisis that we are currently in, and I'm speaking about the downward trajectory of black men in college. We have reversed the trend where it was at one point 60% men, 40% women. Now at NCCU, as well as other post-secondary institutions, it's now 70% women and 30% men. Where are the black men? And I think it's a public health issue. Violence is one, the pandemic is one, and then the issue is not only when you get in college, but whether or not you finish. And we know that women have a slight, they actually have a higher retention rate and graduation rate than do men. So I think it is a crisis to have 7 out of 10 students are female. And I'm not talking about female students, more power to them, that's great. But the fact that we have a dwindling population of black men in college. And when we think about the implication of that on community life, family life, in the community, so it's a public health issue. So I am hoping that we can stop talking and do something. My other hat is I meant to say is I'm the chair of the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Durham, and the Baha'is have a specific focus on race issues, and the spillover effect of racism cannot be ignored. We cannot blame the victim, so to speak. So I think there needs to be a vibrant conversation, and it certainly will be. I'm in my 34th year at NCCU, and so I don't know how many years I have left, but I can promise you this. At the time, because I talked to my staff last week, the Department of Criminal Justice is going to make youth violence a priority issue. We have got to do better. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mcmurray, for all of what you have done and continue to do. And of course, today is building partnerships. And the next speaker we have is Dr. Vanessa Alford. She is the principal of Merrick Moore Elementary School, and she has hit the ground running, and we're excited that she is in that position. Let's give her some hand praise.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
And
Thank
can we
you.
have 2 candidates to come to here, and you're next.
All right, good afternoon. I will be very brief, but I do have a short message for our youth. Many of you remember one of the most profound scenes from the movie Coach Carter, when the young man responded to the question, "What is your deepest fear?" And he replied, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Do you know your power? Do you know that what you speak or think about yourself will come to pass? Yesterday, one of my closest friends' 17-year-old son took his life. When I heard the news, I was speechless, because on the surface, to the human eye, we did not see it coming. And now we are stuck with a litany of questions around why and how did this happen? What did we miss? Some of these questions, if any, will never be answered. But we can do it. But what we can do is take opportunities like today to remind you that your life matters and that you only live once. That doesn't mean you do whatever, but it means you make the best of it. You will have struggles, and you will say to your parents and to others, you just don't understand. Maybe we don't, but at least give us a chance. Talk to your parents or someone you trust who can help you. You will have breakups. You will fall in and out of relationships. You will fail a test. You will have that social media post that gets 1,000 likes or not, and all these things are okay, and these things are your now, but they are not your forever. This moment right now, you will never get back because you cannot get back time. But you can determine what you will do with your time. You can decide that regardless of the hand I'm dealt, I can play it or throw it in. But whatever I do, I have to make a choice. What will be your choice, my friends? Will you choose to walk in your power? Will you choose to let your light shine? What will be your story? You are born for a purpose. Yes, your story, not your parents, not your siblings, not your friends, but your story. It does not matter how you start, but how you finish. Don't let one moment in time determine who you will become. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal, for that inspirational statement to our parents and to our children who are viewing this awesome Triangle Community Youth Forum. Next we have is two wonderful candidates. These two young ladies have worked, have served, and has led. We'll start off with Ms. Driana Freeman, and then we'll end up with candidate for mayor, Miss Elaine O'Neill.
Thank you. My name is Driana Freeman, and I am currently a Durham City Council member who serves for Ward 1. And I would say that when I ran in 2017, I ran on a platform of social, environmental, and economic justice focused on how I could serve in our community. I have a long history of serving in many different roles at the local, state, and federal level. I continue to work full-time with Durham Children's Initiative, which actually serves children from birth to college or career, and the focus being around academic success and academic supports, making sure that the development is, that their development is aligned with that their supports are aligned with their supports. Sorry. I will say I thank you for inviting me this afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and to share just a little bit about who I am and how I've been operating in office for the last 3.5 years, almost 4, and just know that I work tirelessly as an advocate for people who are at the margins. I continue to push for children. I continue to push for seniors. I continue to push for people who are often left out of the conversation, whether it's around transportation, whether it's around infrastructure. And what I've found is over the last 3.5 years, as we've been more focused on engaging, we've been engaging more youth. And I want to continue to do that work. And so I will keep it brief and just say thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all for having me today. I am Elaine O'Neill, and I am a candidate to become the next mayor of the city of Durham. I'm honored to be in a place with so many people that I recognize, including my good friend, Dr. Warren Herndon and Dr. Harvey Mcmurray. I stand before you today, young people, just to leave you with 3 final thoughts, because I know that you have been listening to a lot of people today, and I know you've heard a lot of wisdom. And please, hide it in your heart, hide it in your soul. Yes, I am a candidate for mayor, but I'm a candidate for you. First of all, you are our future. You are our next generation of leaders. So we will be looking for you to take part in this political process. Today is the last day of early voting, but you will have an opportunity to vote again in the primary, which will be Tuesday, and then you will have to vote again on November 2nd. Please be a part of the process. But let me leave you with 3 final thoughts for this conference, for this youth conference. Number 1, diamonds are made under pressure. Number 2, seeds grow in the dark and underground. Number 3, the oil flows from olives from after they have been pressed. So it is within the valley experiences of life that you will do your learning. Always look for the lesson, because when you're having pressured, when you're in the dark and you can't see your way through, and when you're feeling like you have been pressed down, you are on the edge of breakthrough to your destiny. Walk in your destiny, and it starts with you believing in you and the thing that you see in your mind that you want to be. Let me encourage you today that you can, and you must, and you shall. So go be a diamond. Go and be a diamond. Thank you all for having us today. We're on the campaign trail, but we had to come by and see the young people. You are our future, and we thank you. We'll wait for Dr. Herndon to come back, I believe. Thank you so much. It's like this.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Mcrae, and I am a proud Durhamite. I went to Southern High School. I also applied to North Carolina A&T University and was accepted. But my dad said that he worked at IBM, and he said that he was going to get a loan, but I would be responsible for paying it back. So that diverted me a little bit. I ended up going to Durham Tech, where at that time in the 80s, it was stated computer programming was the future, and that's what you should look to do, young man. I took computer programming, was bored out of my wits, so I changed over to business, fell in love with it, got bitten by the entrepreneur bug. I got a job at LabCorp, worked there for a little while, and drew up a business plan to start a professional basketball league. This league is for players 5'9" or shorter, playing on a 9-foot goal. Didn't know I needed seed money and thought I'd run across it. That didn't happen, but through working at LabCorp, I learned the industry of drug and alcohol testing. So in 2001, I opened Affordable On-Sites, and we became the on-site drug testing company for professional and NCAA athletes throughout West Virginia, Southern Virginia, North and South Carolina, and it afforded me the ability and the seed money to launch the All Nets Basketball Association in 2010. But in 2016, I was shot due to attempted armed robbery, and obviously it's life-changing. I decided in the hospital that it's my turn to reach back and help our young youth take a good look at life and realize that I think one of the pastors stated earlier, where your treasure is where your heart will be. And so you really need to don't look at the financial riches of this world. You need to look at the spiritual riches. And they're found in the Bible. The Bible can give you everything you need to get through life with total success. Chasing the riches of man can lead you down a path of ill will. But if you learn the words of the Bible, everything else will be added to you. So that's my encouragement today to you, is to get into the book, learn it, study it, talk to your pastors, seek that wisdom, and just understand that everything else you need will come to you. God has your back. That's my word to you, is to understand that we love you as a people. We want the best for you. And your future dictates our stability. So once again, that's my word. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mcrae. And we know that he has a story to tell. And again, this is our first annual Triangle Leadership Initiative, and he will be coming back in the future because he is doing some mighty work in our community. Next, we have, there are so many different ways to work in our community. And we know that there's individuals who have passion. Mr. Jesse Callis, who is the president and CEO of Callis Construction Company, he and I have been working together for at least 10 to 15 years, and he has a passion for vocation education. We know all too often, and again, in my introductory remarks, there could be anywhere from 6,000 to maybe 10,000 young people. We know the top tier students are going to go away to colleges and universities. But we are strategically aligning and partnering to ensure and to make sure that we find another 8,000 to 10,000 individuals over the next 2 or 3 years that we can move into high-paying, high-skilled job. Mr. Callis is that individual who has a passion. With no further comment, Mr. Jesse Callis.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Quite a few people know who I am. We are based here in Durham, North Carolina. This is my 16th year in this community. My first significant job, this major significant, was we were chosen to participate in Street to South Point Mall. Mr. Howard Clement at that time had called me, and he asked me, he'd say, "I heard you're new in town, but folk been talking about you. We're looking for an African-American that can participate in building South Point Mall." Hadn't really did much building at that time, but I was coming from the IBM Corporation, where I had left as second level executive in reliability testing. And Mr. Howard Clement at that time had asked me, he said, "Would you come to, we heard about you, would you come to a city council meeting?" And Urban is looking for someone who is an unlimited general contractor that could participate with us. So I come to the city council meeting, and I'm sitting in the back, and the urban developers executive gets up and talked about the mall, and he asks do you have a partner? So he said, no, we don't, because we haven't found a firm that would have that level of experience. So he said, have you talked to Callis? So he said, no, we heard about him. He said, he is over right there, go talk to him. So we go outside, and the gentleman asked me whether I'd be interested in taking on that job. So we went outside, we cut the deal. I had 48% of building South Point Mall. So it goes outside, and I began to learn to build buildings. So from that experience, we were doing quite well, got our work done, was able to get $48.9 million to African Americans. I still have the documentation that we sent to the city that we achieved that. As we were finishing that project, I ran into this gentleman here, Mr. Warren Herndon, and was Joe Austin at the time. And they came to me and said, we would like to, heard about what you're doing here. We would like to get you over there in the Duke. Through Joe Austin and Warren Herndon, we're now working at Duke. Was over there for about 7 years. Okay, and most of the buildings at Duke, we have done work there. As you look around this area here, the Durham Police Headquarters, the parking deck fell within my responsibility. Golden Belt Building, okay? Significant work on those projects. And the other thing that we have done that probably have touched all of you, the electronic toll booth, the Easy Pass system, we have built every one in the state and has significant involvement in the design in terms of the camera system. So what I say, and even this church, when I walk in this church, this new ceiling, okay, the basement area, when it flooded out, we did all the work, got the water out and sending water down the hill. So the thing is, what I tell young folk is to throw away your fears. Throw away your fears, and as LeBron James would say, go out and play. I think one of the biggest issues that we have, particularly with young people, is they get afraid they're going to fail. Failure is a necessary process in growth. Okay? If you watch basketball players, they didn't shoot that ball that way the same when you first started. It's trial over and over and grow with it. And I've had, just in this area alone, we were the first African American to be a direct general contractor with GSK when it was here. Merck, Bayer, Biogen, Syngenta, NC State. When Shaw got hit by the tornado, they called me there. We put the school back together. It was $40 million worth of work. And I think 16 weeks. Okay. From that, I hired this young lady that works with me today. She's a superintendent. I knew she had that spirit in her. She is now a superintendent with us. I also hired another young lady that's a project manager. The estimator is still with us. And due to the pandemic, of course, it started hitting everybody. Okay. But as my mother used to say, don't lose your way because you can't see your way. So we stayed in that fight, stayed pushing forward. And we have been awarded, and 4 joint ventures, 4 new schools that's in design and coming down the pipe. So there'll be extra opportunity coming out there. But we're looking for good, smart people that believe in themselves. If they believe in themselves, I can help them be successful. Okay, but sometimes it takes a lot of coaching. Okay, and one of the things that we're extremely proud of, we've been able to pay for 5 individuals to get their degree from North Carolina Central. out of our payroll. And even the one that I'm more proud of is this gentleman who came to me after having a incident with the law. He had spent some time in prison, came to me and talked to me about what he wanted to do. He had stayed with me until he became foreman. Then he said, I want to start my own company. This gentleman right now has 12 employees, all ex-offenders, no one gone back and doing well. So I think the thing that we need to do is to focus on how we build that, okay? We all are born not perfect, but we all have the opportunity to reach back, to reach for that person. And I also think that as we go forward, one of the major things that we really gonna have to focus on is that I believe we have to focus on how do we, as a people, begin to turn this system more in our favor in getting young folk into trades. Okay, for instance, if a person goes to Durham Tech, major in HVAC, heating and air conditioning, electrical, or plumbing, it'll take them about a year to finish their coursework. Then they need to go work for someone for another year. At the end of that third year, there's a very high probability they can make $300,000 a year. So what I'm saying is that we gotta look at what we do as how do we make a living and grow other folk. Our government at this point is in the process of approving trillions of dollars, okay? And one of the projects that we were awarded for when we spoke before the board, they said, well, what do you think that we should do? And I told them, focus on supplying skilled labor for young folk that can support this initiative. Okay, so my goal is to grow as a contractor, grow as an engineering company, and make a real difference. And the other difference, when you're entrepreneurial or you have a skill, you can make more money. It's not a 40-hour, the downside is that you have to work a lot of time when you don't necessarily want to work. The upside is that you can affect other folks' lives and you truly can change your community. Thank you. And let me introduce my friend here, it's Faye Calhoun. I need to say this because this is important. This young man here, Warren Herndon, he called me last week and said, I want to talk to you about something. So, and I say, let me bring my partner in crime, Miss Calhoun. Great lady, great lady. So there's a student was over at School of Science and Math who needed some tutoring. And so I called Faye, and her mother came up. She's at School of Science and Math. I took physics in college, but when I took physics, there was a professor at the board, and I understand physics, but I don't understand the computer, how it do it. Okay, so the mother, we have the meeting at the office. So, and I shared this, the three of us shared it with Faith, what we're trying to do. She said, I'll call you back this afternoon. That afternoon, she called me and said, there's a company called Mathnasian. Okay. I am going to, they live in Lauenburg. Okay, I'm going there 2 days from there. With a mom, she gives me the name of Magnesium. We get the young lady enrolled in the school 3 days later. From not having a student that's challenging physics to the three of us sitting down and say, we're gonna do something about it. The young lady now is in training from Lauenburg and be a student at the School of Science and Math. And I've told her if you need to talk to somebody, walk across the street, that's where I'll be. And that's what I truly believe if we're going to get out of this situation, we're going to have to do things like that frequently. Thank you.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Faye Calhoun. I serve as Special Assistant to the Chancellor at North Carolina Central University. Pastor Herndon made me aware of what he was trying to accomplish with this institute. And I said, okay, that's a good goal. You mean well, and I know you want to do this. And every day this week I said, well, 2 or 3 more days and we'll be together and we will talk to the young people and we will talk to their elders and we will try to see where this can go. This morning, you know, when you're doing the right thing and you believe strongly in what you're doing, a sign will come. A sign will come to let you know that what you're doing is on time, is correct, and will succeed. That sign came this morning. I opened this morning's Herald Sun paper, and there was an article that started on the front page. It's entitled, Durham Tech, NCCU, aided Genius Grant recipient success. Again, Durham Tech, North Carolina Central University. Given the credit for a person that has won one of the highest awards given to a person on this planet. The young man's name is Ibrahim Sisse. He came from humble beginnings. He couldn't afford to go to a 4-year university. He went to Durham Tech. And after 2 years, he transferred to North Carolina Central. He majored in physics. He majored in physics. He's a biological physicist. And he works for one of the highest ranking institutes in the world, the Max Planck Institute in Germany. He's 38 years old. He's 38 years old, and his journey has been spectacular. Now, the grant that he got came from the Macarthur Foundation. It provides $625,000, no strings attached to the winner of that grant. He said he's going to use that grant to further his research. His research is so incredibly important. But I want you to know a little bit about the Macarthur Foundation Fellowship. Every year they choose a number of individuals across the world, and they identify individuals that they call geniuses because they have done something that's so spectacular that they must be honored by the world. We've had a few other individuals from Durham, North Carolina, who received this award. One is William Barber, the Reverend Dr. William Barber. Another one is Hannah Jones. Hannah Jones was a journalist that was refused her proper faculty position at UNC Chapel Hill, her alumni. And, you know, we fought and we prayed for her to land on her feet, which she did at Howard University. But they were identified Abraham Sisse, that student, that chose. He probably could have gone anywhere that he could have afforded. He chose Durham Tech, and he chose North Carolina Central University. He majored in physics, and he was successful, but he just as well might have chosen a trade. As Jesse Callis just informed, we need individuals in the trade. Amen. You can't get that at North Carolina Central University. But what you can do is go to Durham Tech, very inexpensive. You can get your 2-year degree. You can major in a trade, electrician, plumber, HVAC, etc. And if you want to, after you make your money, major money, helping people in their homes, building better community structures, participating in trades at all levels, you can then go pay your way to North Carolina Central University and major in the academic basis for the trades, which would be carpentry, chemistry, business, etc. And you are on top of this world. So to the young people, I want to say, consider your options. You have major options here. We've seen by this article coming out on this day that the Lord is with us in this pursuit, and we are with you. Let's do this. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Callis and Dr. Calhoun, for your presentation. And we're running over just a little bit, but what we want to do next is that we want to bring up Dennis McCaskill. He's going to spend about 3 to 4 minutes talking about the awesome history in on Dowd Street and East End community. And then we're going to have a powerful presentation by Dr. Bill Thurston. All of this institute will help guide us to financial independency, entrepreneurship, and how to earn money. And then we'll end up with the greatest historian, I call him Durham historian, North Carolina historian, Mr. Algin Holloway. So in that order, if they would come, and we thank you as we approach the end of our institute.
Thank you again to Dr. Mitchell, to Dr. Herndon. Again, I'm Dennis McCaskill with Exponence, Vice President, Business Development and Client Service and Marketing. With the firm, we're pleased to be a $13.5 billion asset management firm, one of 3 that are run by a black female in the country. And so we're very pleased. My founder, chairman, and CEO is Tina Biles Williams. Our headquarters is based in Philadelphia. We have an office also here in Durham, North Carolina. The asset management business, as well as the rich history in Durham, North Carolina, when we think about the history of finance, we think about the, as they call it, the Black Wall Street, dating back to the days of North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company, really the core of the black business in the South, and particularly in this country. When you look at the opportunities for the founders there, the 7 great men there that started that, you think back to Dr. Merritt, Mr. Merritt and Dr. Moore, pardon me. You go back and look at the businesses that existed back in Durham, back into the late 20s, when you think back of where Durham really originated from the previous speakers that just spoke. It was a lot of the technical businesses that really ran and that operated Durham. If you look back at Pettigrew Street, you look at this whole area here, all of the businesses that were displaced. If you go back and think, you could go to get a florist. If you want to get flowers, there was a florist. If you needed to get coal, you could get coal. If you need to get your car repaired, you could get your car repaired. If you needed a jeweler, you could get a jeweler. If you needed hair products, you could get hair products. If you needed grocery, you could get grocery. If you had to had a funeral or anything of that nature, you had Scarborough and Hargett there. You had the newspaper there, the Carolina Times. If you go back even further than that, in addition to that, pardon me, you had the taxi cab stands there. You had the hotel there. You had the theater there. You had black physicians, lawyers there. And you look back at the history of where Durham came from, the self-supportedness of us being able to support ourselves back in the day, and how this was displaced by the quote-unquote urban renewal. And it really saddens me today as I drive into the city of Durham and I look on Pettigrew Street, and not that I'm against construction and development, but I also go 2 blocks up Fayetteville Street and I see the old reminders of 10 City. And for those of who are in Durham that grew up here, when they moved or displaced the Carolina Times and moved it to 10 City. And that never got back to any development. It actually has gone out of business, I think, that is today. We look at Scarborough and Hargett. If you drive by, you'll see that name there. They're up the street here off Roxborough Street. And so we have a very, very rich history. We think back to Dr. Shepard, who developed, and was the founder of North Carolina Central University, and what he brought to Durham. He was one of the 7 founders of North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. We go back and also we look at Mutual Community Savings and Loan, which was a mortgage banker, allowed you to do financing, to do home financing for blacks in the community. We look at the Garrett and Sullivan and Davenport CPA firms. You had blacks that here, Nathan Garrett and D. Wood Sullivan, 2 of the entrepreneurs that had the certified public accounting firm here. We go down the street, we look even a little further. You had William A. Marsh Jr., the first black lawyer that grew up here in Durham. You look at Dr. Thomas B. Bass, the first dentist that was from Durham that was here. And so when you look back here at what Durham has brought here, there has been a number of individuals. We have been very self-supported, but it's a history now that we look back and ask, where are the black businesses? We talk about construction. I think of Mr. Thornton. I think Thornton was a contractor, built a number of homes in the Durham community, and there were a couple of others that I'm getting a junior moment, so please pardon me. I won't say a senior, I'll say junior. But Durham has been like that. It has been very, very self-supportive. And we've had a number of entrepreneurs that have done well across all lines, from education, from being into public life. We look at our last mayor, not our last mayor, but you look at Mayor Bell, the things that he contributed and did to Durham. You go back, and there's just such a rich history here in Durham. You go back and think about Dr. Charles Johnson being one of the first physicians at Duke Medical Center. And when you look at the first, you look at one of the things that we've done here and what blacks have done in this community, and see how things that occurred and displaced us, I look at that as opportunity for us to come back and do these things. And I think that with this younger generation, and I include those that are not in the younger generation, that we all can be a part of this revitalization of Durham. I'm so glad to see, talk about doing contracting work here in the Durham area. That's needed. We're not the only ones, or the folk of color can do this. Diversity is here. And being in the investment advisory industry, I look at and see all this construction is done here. And I look at a lot of that money, I feel personally, is coming from pension money. And it's time that we have access to the billions of dollars of access to do the developments in here. Go to the pension plans around the country and ask with respect to, we are quality firms. As I would always say, don't hire me because I'm black, hire me because I'm good. And the fact that I'm African American and black, I'm not going to charge extra for that, but we're here to provide quality. And so we think that we can do these things. We've got the rich history that we've done that. You've got children of these ancestors here. You look at Isaac Green, who was in the investment industry. You look at Charles Chuck Watts. Chuck is an attorney here. You look at Drew Marsh, who's an attorney here. You look at Chaz Johnson, Dr. Johnson's son here. There are a number of offsprings. You look at the mortician business. You look at Grover Berthay, who's done a heck of a job with respect to that. You go back to the Dillard family. We used to have Dillard Barbecue and all. And so we can go back and just name a number of things, number of businesses that aren't here now. And we just wish, and I hope, that we have the spirit and the drive and the ambition and vision to make these opportunities and create them. I look again, I see, we sit here at Brother Holloway, as he being a Merrick-Moore graduate, and of course his family have known for years. And you see what they've done with respect to that. I have the most respect for his dad. His dad, for years ago, even as I was, I think in my mid-50s, I was always little Dennis to his dad, and was pleased that he thought of me that way. But as I close, I just want to say that we have a rich opportunity here. Durham comes from a rich past, when we've been looked upon as the Mecca. You talk about Oklahoma being the Black Wall Street. We had that same thing here in Durham, North Carolina. And so I thank you again, Dr. Herndon, for this opportunity, and to those who are listening and watching with respect to that the sky is really the limit. And I remember someone saying, take what you have and make what you want. To that end, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McCaskill. And next we have a young man who has worked in a variety of different capacities. He is the Dr. Bill Thurston, and we know that in all communities, sometimes you have to measure success by your financial independence and your ability to earn and make a salary for yourself. So we have Dr. Thurston, who is going to present with us the importance of economic independence. Dr. Thurston.
What do you want me to do? You want me to stand or sit?
Whichever's convenient.
Use this. Okay. Well, first of all, I am with my wife, Gail. Wherever you see me, you see Gail. Wherever you see Gail, you see me. My name is Dr. Bill Thurston. Wherever you see me, you see my wife. If you see my wife, you see Gail. Her name is Gail. You see me. Why do I say that? Because we are in a covenant of marriage. And our ministry is called Your Matrix Ministries. You can find it in Jeremiah chapter 1, where It reads, Jeremiah, before you were created in your mother's womb, I knew you. Another word for womb is matrix. You've seen it. You can find it. Why? Because we were all created in the matrix womb of God. The source of creation, redemption, freedom from and freedom for, and the sustainer of life, the Spirit. Say now, Jeremiah, before you were even born from your mother's matrix, I consecrated you, I set you apart to speak on my behalf before all nations. First excuse from Jeremiah. I am only a child. Where'd you get that from? I said, I want you to speak before all nations, and in this world, it's 192. It was the adversary that got to Jeremiah's mind. The advocate says, speak before all nations. Here comes the second excuse. See, this is supposed to be the first annual Youth Institute. That's why I was invited here. To share the problem and the solution. So his second excuse was, I can't speak. See, he's only 12 years old now. It's no accident that I'm here and we're talking about a youth leadership institute. I'm going to show you how it's going to be put together. Well, just open your mouth and let me anoint your tongue. And when you speak, my word is coming out of your mouth. If you ever want to hear the voice of our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer of life, now I bring together both creation and evolution. They are both true. You can't have creation and not have evolution, and you can't have evolution if you don't have creation. I hope y'all catch that. I'm going to come back to that. So, I'm here. I'm not speaking. I just open my mouth and whatever God, our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer of life, has me to say, I say. Well, first of all, before you know our ministry, meaning your Matrix Ministries, of which Gail and I are co-founders, and CEPs, that means we are chefs. That's why I have this on. It's a chef works. I got rid of all of my robes, okay? Chef works. Are you following me? What do we work on? Equipping young people. See, we're gonna work with young people. We have 3 programs. One is called We Care About You. There's something, young people, children, that's in your belly, in your matrix, that needs to be born. Listen carefully. They say you're only a child. Well, I know two children. Jeremiah was a child, and there was another child named Jesus. Y'all do remember that, correct? Now, here's how it works. We must put together our children and youth as mentees in training to be what? Are you ready for this? You ready? Chefs equipping people. They need mentors. Who are the mentors? We're going to pair up the children and the youth with what? Young adults and adults. Those are the mentors. So what does a mentor do and the mentee do? First of all, the mentor, the young adults and adults would include the elderly. They must be the example of what and explain what a chef equipping people do. Second, that means that the mentee, meaning the children and the youth, they must empathize, feel into the attitudes, the activities and the achievements of the mentor, adults and young adults, so that the mentee can what? Experiment. Step number 2. The mentor, the young adults and adults, must do what? They must guide and support the children and young people. So the young people can do what? They have something very simple to do. They must demonstrate and produce what it is to be a chef equipping people. Then finally, the mentor, adults and young adults, they commission these children and youth to be what? Chefs equipping people in 3 areas. 1, government, business, and society. Does it take rocket science to figure out that we need new ethical leaders in government, business, and society, and what we call a democratic republic? That means the majority of people, that's what a democracy means. And they are, who are they? They are black, red, yellow, well, black, brown, red, yellow, and pink. There are no white. He has on a white shirt. White is the absence of color. The majority of people of the earth are who? People of color. And republic means self-governance. Now we have what's called, and you have some here today, they are representatives of you in government, business, and society. Well, they need some help. They need what we call participatory. Meaning we have to participate. We just can't be spectators sending people to represent us in business, government, and society. See, the young people, meaning the children and the youth, have to lead us into the future, because today is the outcome of yesterday, but it's tomorrow in the making as I begin to close. The reason I know we can do this is because Gail and I, in our first quarter of life, we were designers. She was a designer in hair, and I was a designer in architecture and building. Had the the Architects Collaborative in every continent, Africa, Asia, Central and Latin America. Then in the second quarter of my life, our life, I was a human rights ambassador. I was the national director of Jesse Jackson's Operation Push when Al Sharpton was my youth director. Gail was in Washington, working in HEW, Health, Education, and Welfare. She was there on the March on Washington. I was in Chicago. She was in the suites, working for HEW. I was in the streets. Gail, we call her the jelly maker. I was in the streets. We call us. Oh boy, we just do what we do. See, because you got to shake the tree and then turn it into jelly. Are you following me? Then we went to the various colleges and universities here, North Carolina Central, Shaw University, what have you, Pembroke, NCCU, so forth and so on, to develop future ethical leaders in government, business, society. So now we're here in the fourth quarter with Your Matrix Ministries. We do three things, and then I'm gone. One, we have the Your Matrix We Care, which I've already mentioned, the mentoring of young people and children by young adults and adults. We also have an academy where people like me who have PhDs in 6 academic disciplines, 7 really. And my dissertation, 620-some pages long, is Justice Born Through Struggle, Martin, Malcolm, and Angela Davis. So the same course that I taught at the university, I'm gonna be working on a diploma and degree enhancement program where our academy will be working in affiliation with elementary, middle, junior, high, college, postgraduate. The basic course that you would pay me and my faculty $1,000 to teach, we'll give it for free. It's called Foundation. The second one is going to be the intermediate. That's going to be $3. The advanced is $9. And the ambassador of chefs equipping people in business, government, and society is $12. You just go to the website, you download the worksheets. Since we're teaching principles, there's no need for examination. You can pass a course and flunk life. I know the curriculum. 120 hours in undergraduate, now one course on how to make money, how to be successful in life. The third thing we do is I take my seat. First, we said that we care, the mentoring of children and youth by who? Young adults and adults, which include the elderly. Second, the academy. Finally, we have the Your Matrix work netters, showing them how they can have financial, personal, and time freedom. Whether they want to work in what we call linear income as a job, or leveraging residuals as business owners and investors. See, if you can't control, my last point, if you can't control your financial, your personal, and time freedom, you can't control your future. Think about how powerful that is. We don't even know what it is. All we know is trading time for money, that take the money to pay a bill, so we have ground zero. Our young people, as I said to some people today, they're going to graduate with a profit to pay cash to go to whatever school they want to go to, rather than getting a loan, graduating with a degree on one hand and debt on the other. So if you have any interest in the We Care mentoring program, number 2, the academy, and number 3, how young people can be able to go to the schools of their choice and pay cash and start their own enterprises, then you want to talk to us. If you don't have an interest in that, then you just don't have an interest. I had to say that because when people present me, they don't know the new me. This just happened August 28th on the March on Washington. So with that being said, I just thank you. This is our contribution to the youth leadership, which is what institute that you want to set up. So I had to explain it because I'm just not talking about entrepreneurship. So with that being said, I thank you, Dr. Herndon. As you said, I've been mentoring you. Well, that's what I'm here to do. Amen. I only have to leave because I have another appointment. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Thurston, and as always, he has been mentoring me for a number of years. I have so much respect, and as young people and families and community, it is so important for us to respect our elders and to learn from which they deposit information to us. Last but not least, and we do apologize for going over, but last but not least, this young man here, I called him the John Hope Franklin of Durham, North Carolina. He's going to take 5 minutes, and then we will conclude, and then we will end up with prayer, none other than Mr. Alton Holloway.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am honored and pleased and everything to be invited by Dr. Herndon to come to his program. He always has inspirational things for young people. I think I've been with him at Shaw University. We took a busload of people over there, and he's had various institutes and other things that would help our youth. I also today am very humbled, and I enjoyed the fact that this was like Old Home Week. All the people that he had over here, I would not do like my father. I would not take credit for what they did. But as Mr. McCasker said, my father always called him Little Dennis. And he had to step back. My father was kind of short. Hey, Little Dennis. And Daddy, Dennis is not so little anymore. But Dennis spoke on Haytide. And he did not mention the fact that his father and his father's brothers had a surf station years ago in Haytide. He did not mention the fact that his father was one of them, and Miss Merritt, the counselor at Merrickmore High School where I graduated, where you would not find anything that reflects the championships that we won at Merrickmore High School. They would not tell you about the movie Remember the Titans, where Merrickmore beat Herman Boone and E.J. Hayes High School in North Carolina. And I met a fella some years ago who was an upholsterer. He said, I just wish Denzel would have said E.J. Hayes just one time. Going to Haytide, if you go down Roxbury Street, head north on Roxbury Street, and as you approach, as you cross Pettigrew Street, you would see a overpass. Now, you have seen that overpass most likely on the movie J.J. and them played on, but you see a band. And that's the way the North Carolina Central and Hillside band used to have their homecoming parades. And they would go under that overpass. And I came through there a couple of months ago, and from Roxborough Street to Dillard Street, there is nothing that would indicate it that generations of black people had ever passed that way. Nothing at all. Just like at my high school, Merrick-Moore, there's nothing that would indicate that we won basketball and football championships at Merrick-Moore High School. There's nothing indicated. Although we have one of the students who played, his son is now the coach of Shaw University. And also, I was very, very humbled to see and glad to see that things are moving along. And this is a generational thing. Mr. McCaskill told you about Dr. Charles Johnson, who was one of the first positions at Duke University. And his son is a historian at North Carolina Central University. And we talk all the time about Durham. The latest thing we've been on is the Ellerby Creek watershed area, and the notable people from Durham who grew up in Walltown and North Durham and Bragtown. But Durham has just has a great history. They talked about North Carolina Central University, Dr. Shepard. They did not mention his wife, Anna Day Shepard, for whom a residence hall is named after, whose grandfather was Tom Day. And if you get a piece of Tom Day's furniture, that is the most sought after furniture in Durham, North Carolina. Now, well, I mean in the state of North Carolina, probably nationwide. Also, mayoral candidate Elaine O'Neill. I have known her since she was a very young person. And I am glad to see that there are great things being done. Leonardo Williams, when I was working at North Carolina Central University in Chidley Hall, Leonardo lived in Chidley Hall. And some great people came out of Chidley Hall. And we had a great pride in Chidley Hall. And when things got better at North Carolina Central University, when we got really good, amenable things. They would call it, the people who lived in the old Chidley Halls, Chidley soldiers, because it was rough up there, and you were somebody if you had come through there. And also, Dr. Calhoun and Mr. Callis, there are not many people in the field that he's in big construction. There are not, I think it's 1 or 2 or 3, less than 5 surveyors of color in North Carolina. Back in the day, my father, my uncles and all of them went to veteran school after World War II and built houses. My father built, the last house he built was in 1980. I do not know of anybody that has gone out, the community I grew up in, a man divided up a farm and sold it to returning veterans coming from back from World War II, and people built their own houses there. You do not see that anymore. You got to get a developer to build so many houses, and it's got to be done that way. People cannot build their own houses anymore because you got to build sidewalks and all kind of stuff to keep you from being in charge of your own business. But I am gratified today to see the people who were here and who have spoke on getting people together and moving forward. And I am proud as I look back on the people who came here today, and I hope that in the future young people will see this video and learn from these people. I tend to be long-winded, but rather than give a history, I would like to give an encouraging word to the young people who will have access to this video to look at these people. All of these people are very regular people, although their achievements are great, but they're very humble and approachable. And as they said, anything can be done if you try it. And you got to go through a little hardship. Years ago when I was a little boy, Superman would take a piece of coal and crush it in his hand and put enough pressure on it that he would make a diamond out of it. And again, thank you. Durham has a rich history. Let's continue to add to it. And thank you, Dr. Herndon.
Mr. Holloway, we thank you for being Durham's historian. We thank you for all of what you do, and you continue to endeavor to persevere in sharing the rich history that we have in this community. So as we conclude and close our first annual Triangle Youth Community Leadership Institute, we thank all of our participants. We thank all of the individuals who have contributed. And let's give a special hand praise to our planning team. Over the last year and a half, there have been a variety of individuals who have served on our subcommittees and our planning committees, and we thank you again. Again, as we conclude, we thank the pastor of this church, Dr. Mitchell, our co-convener, and we also thank individuals who are watching and observing, and this taping, recording will be shown live for months and days and year to come. And when we come back next year, we're going to build a database where we will be able to say that we've had 5 people or 25 individuals to start businesses, and as Mr. Callis so eloquently stated, in the trades. We'll be able to come back to tell you that we've moved 10 or 15 or 20 students into different career paths. We've had 75 to 100 young people that are in mentoring initiatives. So again, this is a combined effort, partnership and collaborating to make sure that our young people are taken care. And here to offer our closing prayer, Ms. Deacon, would you please come forward?
Proverbs 4 tells us, in all you're getting, get understanding. And the presenters that we have had here today have certainly given us the opportunity to get understanding. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for those who have come today to share their wisdom with our youth so that our youth may gain understanding. As we go forth from this day, we pray that you will allow us to work together to make Durham a place where young people can thrive. Lord Jesus, we want them to do more than just survive, but to thrive. And through you, that is possible, because there is nothing that is impossible with God. We thank you, we glorify you, we lift you up. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen,
amen,
amen, and amen.
Amen.